traders, good morning. Let's just do a quick rundown now here on stocks. Uh, Dow futures, nothing's changed. Everything, we're still very bullish, right? Prices in the northern hemisphere were above pi or above the 200. The wave structure here is very obviously bullish. I mean, it's just up and to the right. All right, so we zoom in here on the 4 hour. We're still buying dips here, so I'm playing the Dow from the long side. Okay, and then when I want to express a short view, whether I'm trying to hedge some longer term positions using S&Ps, or I'm starting to think about maybe short the Russell over the intermediate term. But right now I'm trying to stay with the majority of my bias or my risk skewed to the long side in stocks. All right, so what's going to make me change and get more bearish is we're going to have to take out these lows. So whether you're looking at S&Ps or the NASDAQ or like here in the Dow, this 1800, I mean these higher lows here, this low is 18170. All right, but you also have pi here that's 1883, and then you have the figure which is 18,000, right? So everybody on CNBC is going to have that number. So until we really start making lower lows below and roll back over here, I think it's going to be tough. Any dip is probably going to be bought. So I want to stay a little bit more constructive on the market and a little bit more bullish. So last time we dipped here, I bought some, sold some out. Same thing. If I can get a dip down here, I mean, we are low within this hourly cycle. You can see this percent D is down around 11. So day trade, it's actually alright to maybe even buy a little bit here. Intermediate term. So I may do that. I'll finish this video and I'll put it in the room. It's not a, this is an okay dip. We'll see. I may just wait for stocks to open up. So I think there's some support here. There seems to be some interest down around 18,500. The 4 hour cycle, if you're playing the swing time frame, we're still high within that cycle. All right. I'll probably buy small on the hourly. I'll try to beef up my position on this next cycle lower, which probably will come in around the 200 on the 4 hour. All right, but there's a pretty good edge here on the hourly chart, so I'm not opposed to being long for this move or a move back up here. All right, so I'll probably put that in the room. If we look at S&Ps, it's more or less the same. They're not quite as bullish. These higher lows matter, right? 2164, 2165 is the area I highlighted. These higher lows was 2168, so it's all the same area. I don't want you guys getting too wrapped up in one or two levels, right? You say, oh, it broke 2168, but it goes through it by 1 or 2 points, right? And then just rips right back on you. So don't get too enamored intraday on 1 or 2 specific levels. I care more about this higher low on a closing basis, on a daily closing basis specifically. So the market went through it and then closed right back strongly above it. So that's what's keeping this market bullish, is it's having a hard time producing daily closings below anything major. The last one was 2150, and I had talked about that on the daily chart. You got to break me 2150 on a closing basis, and you couldn't break it. The low close was 2153. The next day we're up at 2156 and 3/4. So, all right. So the daily closing bar matters more to me than intraday violations. Right. So the hourly, we're low within the cycle, which is very similar to the cycle on the Dow, which we just looked at. Alright, so 2165 is going to matter though. Alright, so that's the big key pivot now. 2165. Obviously that 2190.75, that's the new high, so that obviously matters. And then you have these highs here for 2182. If you want some more micro action or day trades action, I think you're pretty good edge to short if you get a bounce here into the top of these bands, 2179, 2180, and see if we can get this move back down here to around 2170. You know, this is all the support. 2165, 2168 was the lows from earlier in the week. 2170. So technically this is in a downtrend from the overnight action from London and Tokyo, so you can play a short there if you don't have anything on. Maybe try to sell into 2179, 2180. Your risk would be above these highs, so risk 2 points to see if we can get a move back down here to 2170. Alright, that's kind of how I would trade that around more day trade. Let's look at the NASDAQ real quick. Big picture, it's the same story, very bullish. I mean, just look how powerful this wave formation is. So this move was nasty, no doubt. Breaks the new lows and just reverse. That's a big FU trade, right? If you get a move back here to the 30, which is 4,700, that's where you probably want to get involved on the long side. This was my trade earlier in the month. I don't have anything on NASDAQ anymore. I stopped out right up here, so this is still pretty bullish. If you get an hourly move, this is your higher lows here. We held pi on the hourly, which was nice. I didn't do anything there. I missed it. 47.72. And the highs are up at 48.35. So I would play that's your intermediate term range. Now, if you start to crack this, I think you're going to get a move back to the 30-day, which is what I said was what? Yeah, 4,700. If you crack this low here, 47.70, you can fall another 70 points. Alright, so that's how I would play that. 5 minute, it's the same thing that I highlighted in S&Ps. Right, so coming out of Asia into London, the trend has been down. So you could, I don't really day trade NASDAQ E-mini futures, but you could short them up here, even up into here. I would sell more. And then your risk is you don't want it above these highs. And then maybe we get a move back into that 2770 area. All this down here. Alright. And then Russell. I got this ticker wrong. I can't remember the ticker. There we go, TF. All right. I think what's interesting about the Russell, this is why I said it's been weaker than the Dow and everything else, is because we're not back to the highs from last year. So the high growth names are going to struggle late cycle, and that's what happened earlier in the year. Now we've bounced back to levels where you're supposed to be a seller again. Guys, this is the monthly chart, right? Look how high we are within the monthly cycle. I'm actually going to maybe play a short here in the Russell and see if this thing rolls over hard into the end of the year, it might be a nice trade. And risk a few contracts and try to hold it for like a 3 to 4 month move lower. Because I think this has a high probability of rolling back over. I mean, you guys see how high this is? This is an 89 reading on the percent D. right? So on a monthly level, you struggle every time you get up here. But before we were in a bull market. Now you made lower lows, and this is probably going to make a lower high. So the highs from last year, you can see there is 1292. If this starts to cross, we may see some of the smaller cap names roll over. All right, this to me is just looks long in the tooth. It looks tired. All right, you can see the weekly levels start to roll here. So I'm going to lean a little bit short, big picture on here in the Russell. All right, I'm not short any S&P futures. I have a few puts, but that's it. I don't have anything short on in the NASDAQ, so I'm going to express this view through the Russell. I just like we're high within the monthly cycle. I like we're high within the weekly cycle. All right, and then if the daily chart, if we do start to roll over, the problem with the daily is just bullish, right? So you're gonna probably be if I go short here, I'm going to be taking profits into these three spots. Boom, 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 and then maybe I would keep it. You know, you got to cover into the Brexit lows. But this, I mean, if we start to crack all these things, there'll be something else going on in the market. We'll probably be in a major risk-off mode towards the end of the year. That's what I would expect if this monthly cycle rolls over. So this is a good place to be. I mean, if you're chasing them long up here, you're on the wrong side. The place to be long was like at this bottoming tail down here, or covering your short and getting long when we broke above these lower highs. So you do not want to be getting long the Russell up here, right? So I'm going to get short. I'll put that in the room. And for any of you that are listening to this today, guys, I'm going to do an open Q&A session again around lunchtime. So that's going to be open to everybody on the team, and then we'll try to get some people, you know, I'll make it open to the public. So we'll talk to you guys then. I'll see you in the room.